Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's Policy Manthan, and our discussion topic is to retain or to reinvent. Should India redesign its education curriculum? Today, we are opening a space for thoughtful dialogue on whether India should continue with its existing curriculum or reshape it to meet the demands of fast changing world. And this conversation is important because curriculum shapes not only what students learn, but how they think, how they create and grow. And through this discussion, we will explore what must be preserved, what must change, and what a future ready syllabus should look like. Before we begin, let's discuss some rules. Very first is your camera should be on while speaking. This is non negotiable. Second is maximum 2 minutes. Please do not exceed your time limit. You may counter or add points, plus, but please do so respectfully. Keep your contribution clear, concise, and well researched. Let's aim for meaningful and constructive conversation today. संवाद ही वो पुल है जो विचारों के अंतर को समझ में बदल देता है. Dialogue is a bridge that turns differences into understanding. With that, let's start our policy manthan. And our first speaker for this discussion is Sonal. Sonal, you can turn your mic and camera and share your thoughts.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Rishika, for this opportunity. Am I visible?
Yes.
Okay. So I think there is a need to evolve the current education curriculum. And the reason why I'm saying this is that currently the education curriculum mainly focuses on academics more, which I personally feel. It is focusing on academics more. So for a future ready generation, I think we need to focus more on emotional intelligence. Number one thing which I personally feel is very very important. Other than this, I think applicability of what is learned in the classroom should be applied in the outside world also. And one example for this I feel is lack of civic sense. We often say that Indians do not have civic sense as such. So why not include those things in curriculum itself, so that the new generation, the children, they themselves know how to behave in public. And what should be retained in this regard? I think the strong foundation in moral values, strong foundation in mathematics and science, these are the strong points which Indian education curriculum is currently have. I personally feel that. Apart from that, I think there is a lack of you know interpersonal skills like communication, public speaking. Children do not feel confident while expressing themselves when they are set to say something in public. So this is the thing which I feel should be worked upon. And I one in one line I would like to sum up my views, like the evolved education curriculum should not only prepare for board exams but also for the future. So this is my take. Rest I will add as other speakers will say.
Good insight, Sonals.
Yeah.
You spoke well, like emotional intelligence, civic sense, and
Yeah.
interpersonal skills. These are things which should be taken into consideration. Very good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Someone wants to like add something or counter something. Okay. If not, we will move to next speaker, Tanvi.
May I start?
Yes, Tanvi. Okay.
So today's topic is to retain or to reinvent. Should India redesign its education curriculum? So before we look into this topic, I think personally we should analyze both sides of this topic before we come to a critical conclusion. So India, it's known for its rigid education curriculum in comparison to other nations in the world. As it's not just for school going students, but also for children going to universities or colleges to study for their masters or PhD. So this education system, because it's so rigid, it has accounted for roughly 8.1% of the suicide deaths among students in the year 2023, which was a little higher than what we had seen in 2022. So students in universities and schools and colleges, they often face very long hours of classes followed by coaching, homework and assignments. and their learning is solely mainly theory based with a strong focus on memorizing the theory rather than implementing it in their own life and in the application sense. So, because the timings and the structure are so rigid, it leaves very little time for the students to engage in other opportunities like internships or personal interests. And they're limited in most situations and institutions because India, till now, as far as I've seen, is not very advanced in providing the same. So the main basic understanding in this is that examinations still dominate the entire academic experience. The society thinks that the better marks the student scores in an examination, the better the student is. And the same way, like the more homework the student gets, the more productive the child is becoming. So, hence, in my personal opinion, we should change not just the education curriculum but also the society's mindset. So, in India, the general society states thinks that science is the most choosable course out of all, and parents they often encourage their children to appear for NEET or JEE exams only because they think that science is the only option to become successful in life. And the other option is commerce because people from business backgrounds they opt for commerce because they want to go into the business field. However, courses like humanities they're totally ignored, and career paths like journalism and civil services or UPSC exams are not really at par with science and commerce as per Indian society. So there may be many ways to change this mindset and this education system which is prevailing in India today. So, for example, as I had mentioned in the previous policy Manthan as well, the flipped classroom system in India, it allows the students to learn, to teach the class, and to make the students learn in the views and the opinion of how they are learning their own subject matter, while the teacher does not teach at all. So in this way, the students they learn through the eyes and the words of their own peers or classmates, and it also encourages active learning and critical thinking with better understanding of subjects. And also continuous internal assessments, the CIA, it prevents one final end term semester exam of 100 marks, but it the like continuous exams which occur the entire year. For example, there are 10 marks for internal assessment, 10 marks for presentation, 10 marks for home assignment, and so on. So, yes, in conclusion, I do think that India's education system should be changed while keeping up with the new generation of the young Indians which are coming in right now. While retaining the core knowledge is essential, redesigning the curriculum to emphasize critical thinking and practical skills in real life is important. Thank you.
Uh, Great insights, Tanvi. I liked your point where you brought in about that societal mindset thing. Of course, like most of us are from humanities background, and we, in somewhere in our life, face that biasness of society. Other than that, classroom system is good point. CIA something continue internal assessment works in our college. Oh, it is nice, but then for student like as me and my all college mates and my PG mates, they are from same college. We all are from same college, and this is something we should reflect on that because this is very hectic. This sounds very good, but this is something very hectic. And second thing, most of our assignments are about writing reports and all, though we are asked to present many a times. In that, we cannot use AI, but when it comes to reports, when it comes to essay writing, lots of AI is used after, like, though we are scolded many a times, but no one care about scoldings. So one AI is one thing which should be taken in consideration. And when we put this CIA as a concept, it also creates burden on individuals, which is something again taken into consideration. That's it. Other than that, great insights, Tanvi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone wants to add something? Okay, if not, then next speaker is Sadhika. Sadhika, are you here? Urvashi, is Sadhika in the meeting?
I don't think so.
Okay. I can't see any more names. Can you write your names in chat box, please? Please write your names in chat box, or I will call like random.
Okay, so since Nilesh has put up his name, you can start now, Nilesh.
Okay, hi everyone. So dwelling on today's topic, should India reinvent its education curriculum? So it has been, in fact, talking about the NEP 2020, India has been trying to implement a diverse field of education when it comes at school level and even at college level. So this very need arises because right now the education system in India is particularly focused on mark-based assessment, which, as we all understand, might not be a true reflection of a child's potential. Many Indian schools still rely on these examination-based assessment, whereas Tanvi and even Rishika mentioned that there's this continuous assessment that hampers the child's even our you know uh, mental health because it's so tedious and so continuous that it actually doesn't allow us more time to explore other options or explore other hobbies and stuff like that. So we need to move beyond this mark-based assessment to actually assess students on their potential. Now, it is easier said than done because marks can become something very prominent or very discreet when assessing any student, but there has to be some criteria other than marks that has to be brought up in society and in educational reforms to actually help students to develop in their own field in what they are actually good at or what they are they want to pursue it. So at a school level, this is, I mean, we have all experienced this. This is pretty much the case where the boards, people are focused on boards, and then you have to choose between science and commerce streams and stuff like that. So, um, you know, um, so talking about if there should be a change, obviously there should be a change. There is no doubt about it, I would think. But bringing in that change might not be as easy as it sounds because overall the human history, the marks has been something, the examination and the assessment of these marks have been something that is very, very prominent and has been going on over the years. But then it also does not it should not also restrict oneself us to actually judge someone else's potential just based on that marks. So as NEP 2022 tries to bring in more vast, more diverse group of subjects for the students to choose from. So that is one way that students beyond just the specified subjects might be able to learn. But then again, if it's too much diverse and there's no specialization where a student does not actually learn anything from the subject, only the maybe at a upper level, that really does not help a student to deep dive into any subject. So talking about Yeah, I mean, I have been doing this, the second article topic on the inclusive education. Right now, the inclusive education does not take into account the other aspects. I mean, the aspects of children with special needs, their curriculum, their own infrastructure that are required, their own specialized teacher that are required. So although there are policies, there are acts already enacted by the Parliament and the Supreme Court judgment as well. The execution in the country is not very good. I mean, it's very prominent, of course. It's the PWD, I mean, sorry, yeah, the PWD students, their enrollment rate is very low and their retention and their dropouts are very high actually. So there comes a point where students are not actually being able to educate themselves, even though there are acts, but the execution at a ground level might not be able to cater to those acts and policies and stuff like that. So we need to build, other than just the policies, a more good framework when it comes to an execution level to actually benefit from those policies that are enacted, and also that the students can actually have inclusive education, whatever background they come from. So yeah, that's all. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm not able to
I
anything
think
right now.
Rishika is having like network issue or something. But yeah, Nilesh, it was a really great speech. You did point out like about the disability sector in education and how that might be falling a bit behind in curricular and everything. I do agree with that. So yeah, I think it was a great speech. So Tanisha, I think you can go next now.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello. Am I audible? So for today's topic, I would first like to tell that India's education system mostly focuses on memorizing and mugging up things. But that and focuses on theory-based education that reduces the students' critical thinking and practical thinking. And according to the Indian education system, whoever scores above 90 is a brilliant student, and and the rest means 60 or 50% are below average. But that's really very bad, because every student's grasping ability is different, and India is trying to bring a change in its education system through NEP 2020, as it allows students to select a subject from science stream and also humanities stream, such as botany and politics. But there are also some lack of infrastructures in NEP. Like there are lack of trained teachers, and the college hours are and so in some colleges the hours are also not flexible. Like one lecture is of 7 and then it is directly at 10:30. So it has it wastes a lot of time. So that's it. So it should be flexible. The college hours should be flexible, and there is still rule about 75% attendance. So the students who stay far away could not attend the 7 a.m. lecture. So it should at least be 50%. That's all I would like to say.
Okay, thank you, Tanisha. That was a really great speech you had. Yeah, Shreya, please go ahead.
Am I audible? So, Tanisha mentioned that India's education system is like focusing on rote memorization, and it gives students who have scored 90 above the marks. So, I just want to ask that. Have you forgotten about Indian Institute of Managements? Like they do have case studies. NLUs do have moot court sessions for practical sessions. We do have practical case studies. We do have projects. We do have thesis, dissertation that actually does not focus on rote memorization, because then you have to go on the field, you have to research, you have to do the survey. We have presentations, and that is what the IM students, the IT students are saying, that it's a lot of hectic because they have to balance the practical as well as the theoretical framework. So you are telling that Indian education system actually focuses just on rote memorization. So don't you think that it's a vague statement, because it's not actually what's the case is?
It was till school and college level. Means till 11th or 12th grade. It's like that. I
No,
mean,
no. In 11 and 12, we do have research papers, we do have practical examinations, we do have projects. Now, in fact, CBSE have introduced different coding sessions for students. There are a lot of schools who are teaching students coding. They have practical sessions. We do have different things. We have different music classes. So you are telling that students, it only focuses on rate memorization. We do have Olympiads, and every student is allowed to participate in it, and that actually focuses on critical thinking. So the topic was education curriculum, and curriculum comes under all the categories, whether you are after post graduation, you are doing master's degree, or you are doing PhD, or you are doing students in school. So how can you say that it just focuses on rote memorization? Like, yes, it focuses, one of the aspect is rote, like memorization, but not every aspect. So that statement sounded a little.
yeah.
Shreya, I think so. Her point was somewhere around school education, because in school education, this is true that school education mostly works on rote memorization. I know Olympiads happen, I know MUNs happen, debates happen, but these are things which generally happen occurs in private schools and Kendra Vidyalayas and what is I Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas. Other than these two, the normal government school does not hold these activities. So I think so. Her point was that while in college level mostly it happens, yeah, you're true in that. But in school curriculum, we mostly focus on rote memorization. Yeah, that's it. Anyone else want to add something?
Yeah, yeah. He told Indian education system, so that's why.
Okay, someone else want to add something? Okay, so let's move to our next speaker. If I'm right, Shamita is our next speaker.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Shamita.
Yeah. So, to talking about today's topic, uh, my point of view is on, my law career. I would like to focus more on that because me being a law student, I would like to focus more on my career, where we do, there's a lot of, there's lack in practical approach in law field because we do have to read many theories or many sections and case-based studies. Case-based studies, case laws and all will be of international case laws where they are not applicable in India, and this creates a very big gap in Indian laws, and the way the law is being followed in India is very different in what we read in books because we have moot courts in in our law school, and we do have memorial drafting competitions. We do have debate competitions. We have ADR. We have many other things to do in law school, but these things are not applicable in real life situations. So there's a lot of gap. See, suddenly if you come after graduate, you come out of the law school and you see a drastic change in the reality, and whatever you have learned in the law school is just theory. There's a complete drastic change when you come out and in the real life world. When you start practicing law, you'll find many, difficulties. Like, how do you go and approach the judge? How do you go, like, you cannot tell your honor, you cannot tell it all the time whenever you approach the judge, because there's a regional language barrier in each and every state. So you go study in some different state, and you study those state laws, and you cannot go apply those state laws in other state, obviously no. So you have to learn in very diverse manner. So this is what you know changes required in the educational system. And I would like to even add point that um, you have to add AI. Really, it's really important in law field, because you cannot go and search case laws in each and every, the old case law books, such big books, 1,000 pages book. You cannot go and search each cases there. So you need to have many online databases to search upon, and you need a research, uh, AI database. So we need a lot of things to be changed in the educational curriculum, particularly in the law field. So these are my points.
Yeah, you brought very great point into the discussion. Law, you are very true with this point that law on paper is very different and law in practice is very different. Most of the loopholes are misused. Like most of the law which is on paper is misused even in judicial system and even by the lawyers. So it is very different. Law as a career can only work while you are graduating. Is when you do lots of internships because it needs on ground experience. Great point, great insights. Thank you. Anyone wants to add?
I think the point of AI inclusion in the current education system is pretty good. I know that students as low as 1 2s, they have some things in computer classes which I did not study in my school. So I look at it and go, what is this? So there are new things that are coming up, and the curriculum should not be fixated on whatever past has been going on. But with this evolving a highly tech-driven society, the students and the educational curriculum needs to ramp up to that level where the students, even at a school level and as student in college level, should be able to be in par with whatever was happening in the society and actually build their career on this. So yeah, good points.
Yes, true. Okay. Anyone else want to add something? Okay, if not, then our next speaker is Vani.
Hello. So as the discussion is about like why is there a need to redesign India's curriculum if there is a need to redesign India's curriculum? And while NEP 2020, as we all are saying, that NEP has some really good goals in a way. The aim that NEP has is quite nice. It does focus on futuristic learning. There's technology, there is AI, there is robotics, and like NEP is also understanding with the policy. We are understanding that how Indian student audience is specific. The policy is kind of like focusing on catering with the 3+3 5, the whole division, and like early childhood care and education. So we are definitely understanding that we have to take care of a child from the young age and like give them more opportunities, as well as like change the system as time changes. But at the end of the day, the thing is that India has way too much diversity in every way, and so NEP is not it's quite like a dream basically. NEP 2020, to summarize, is more of a policy that can only be taken up by urban schools, private schools, and not something that can be taken as a national policy. Because to be simply because we all know there is linguistic diversity, there is financial diversity, there is rural urban diversity, and at the same time, there are also special needs, children with special needs. There are marginalized diversity. We have students who are coming from a past where their families and ancestors have faced oppression because of the caste, and there's sensitive areas that are there in India, areas near the borders. So we have to also take into consideration children from these areas. Of course, these are also students. So what is the deal, like what is the policy doing for them? Honestly, nothing, because reality is schools are not prepared. Only if you have money and you are in urban areas, that is the only place you are getting good education. We are saying we need problem solving, critical thinking, project research. This is reality is this is only in urban rich colleges and rich schools. Rural schools do not have it. How? Rural schools, there is a study that says that barely 12% of schools in India are fully equipped to give education to student with needs. They don't have electricity, and when you don't have electricity, technology, AI, robotics, all of that is ending, because that is the main thing you need. If you don't have electricity, the whole story ends before it even began. So NEP, our education curriculum, our education system needs to also focus on how do we ensure that these things are available so that policies work. Now, there is my focus over here is NGOs. There is a bunch of NGOs that are doing the work that these NEP 2020 wants to make happen. There is NGOs in Haryana and Odisha that are using panchayat offices and Anganwadis as like these hubs where they take in children in rural villages that don't have a personal phone, that don't have internet access. So they take in these kids and they provide them with one CPU and one computer and the whole system, and these children are studying there. So we want technology. These NGOs are making sure that children are getting technological needs. There is also NGOs that are providing children with very low cost tablets for special need children, so with apps and stuff. So children with special needs are getting educated through these NGOs. There are NGOs that are also doing STEM labs and robotic kits. They are providing these children, and there are NGOs that are working with tribal villages in Northeast. They are providing education over there. So when you look at these NGOs, you realize that it's not that impossible to make sure that NEP can work. So my suggestion is that we have all the dreams that we want to, the education that we want to give children. We are clear with that. How do we make it a ground reality is we take help from these NGOs that are working in very specific areas. I mean, NGOs have reached to even tribal areas. You take them as the bridge, the middleman, and you use them to make sure that the resources that you are allocating, the funds that you are allocating, is actually reaching these schools. You take intel from these NGOs and you ensure that stuff works. Because if NGOs are independently doing so much technology wise, they will do great, and it is going to reach a higher audience if they are in touch with the government and make sure that fund is actually reaching. So whatever technological, linguistic, research project dreams that we have, it is going to reach a higher audience. So I think that is the suggestion I would have for redesigning.
Great, Vani, as always, great. And yeah, very good point that we can take help of NGOs to bridge that gap. But there is also one thing which should take in consideration, that leaders currently in our country, like so from independence, most of them, they really don't care about education. They don't really care about developing education and education sector. Uh, Currently session is going on and they are discussing upon most stupid things they can discuss. So this is something they should, as a leader, take in consideration, that education is how important it is to invest on education. Yeah, like report which came, like, I don't remember the year, but somewhere near around independence, Radhakrishna Commission gave a report to invest 4% in education, and still we do less than 4% of our GDP in education. So yeah, definitely we can take help of NGOs. Even most of the students in our country, they do study in Christian missionaries, and they Christian missionaries give affordable education, do much better work than government schools. So we can even take help from those missionaries. These are the points which can be taken into consideration, but these points will come into consideration when those leaders will focus on what they should focus on. Yeah, well, you spoke well only. Thank you. Anyone else want to add something or want to counter something?
I would just like to add a quote that I heard somewhere, that an aware population is never in the best interest of any government. So I totally relate with what you said. The
Yeah,
leaders don't
very
want
true.
people
I think so.
questioning them. The leaders don't want intellectual people questioning them, questioning their choices. So yeah.
Very true. I think so. That's why they don't want to focus on education. Someone else want to add something? Okay,
I'm
if
sorry.
not,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Vani, yeah, speak.
Even with the last discussion that we had with regarding like mental health, I feel like we are so focused on, well, the politicians need to think. I think that has to change with the people. I mean, our generation itself, just these discussions we are having is quite a change, because just one generation before us would not care about these discussions. So that is change itself. And I think when I was doing research with NGOs and stuff, I think people need to question, like in private schools. I think any of us who have been in private schools or colleges, if our money's worth was not taken, our parents would be in school offices, we would be in school offices, be like, what's up with this, why is this work not done that you have taken money for? So there has to be accountability from people themselves. If you want stuff, you have to ask, because of course government is gonna hay their way out of everything. Unless and until you ask, that's when you get.
Yeah, that is also true. What we will ask, they will give that only if, yeah, it's true that we are supposed to question government, then only they will do. True, this is true point. Good. Let's move to our next speaker, Rahul.
I hope I'm audible and visible, right? So a lot has been said here about government also. So I just want to add a little point that the government of any place is just the resemblance of the society. It's our destiny. It's we who have given chances to them, and we are getting what we have selected. Anyway, moving on to the current topic. The topic for today's discussion is to retain or to reinvent. Should India redesign its education curriculum? A great topic, and I like to start with my. I like to state my content with points. And I'll start by saying that Indian education system and curriculum is at a very great flaw in today's time. A lot of things needs to be changed, and some of the reasons are because we, as the curriculum, are totally based on rote learning instead of conceptual learning. And I can bow this, and I can say it anytime that we are still focusing ourselves on the rote learning. Practicality have been discussed here previously also, but that are just limited to some organizations. IAM are there. I think the population of person who gives an examination of CAT and the person who selects for that IAM are very few in proportion, and I think a very few doing good work in a very few proportion is not done for and is not equitable and justifiable for all the population. uh, because of this rote learning and the lack of conceptual learning, we are making a generation which is lacking skills, and that is why, due to the lack of skill, they lack employability, and we are seeing the situation right in front of our eyes in present situation. One of the more reason is because we have an outdated syllabus, and slowly and gradually we are also losing the scientific temperament of the syllabus. I remember I have been taught a joint called quarter joint in my classes, which we have used left using decades ago, and it is today used to join the tractors and pulleys. Knuckle joint, sorry, not the quarter joint, it's the knuckle joint. And as seen as I hope you most of people are aware that most recently government has removed the theory of evolution from the science books, and a lot of ISROs and DRDOs scientists have written to the government to make sure that it exists, because it is one of the most basic theory of for the biology people or some in biology generally. So we have an outdated syllabus, and one more important thing is that we lack the holistic development, because we are not judged on the basis of holistic developments like communication, uh, you know uh, problem solving skills, creativity, emotional intelligence. These are few things that we still lack. The assessment are not done very much good onto these points, and that is the reason even after having a good education and a degree, due to the lack of communication, a lot of people are not getting jobs today. So I think this is one of the places where government needs to intervene, and we need to do something very much about that. One of the more point that adds on for the change in curriculum is exam centric pressure. Because we are exam centric country, we love exams. Either it's JW from the very start, JEE, then it makes me need JRF, CUET, everything. We people, we students just love giving examination. And I have also heard in the previous in the conversation that people are degrading humanity. It's not because they are degrading humanity. I think it's because the employability is less in humanities background. Everybody today's want to get employed, and if we are getting employability just by studying STEM, so I think that's why people will choose. And because we have so less number of colleges and institutions who are giving good education, and that is why we have more tough competitive examinations. So I think there is a lack of governance in this side. And one more important thing, because so that we need to change our curriculum, is that the limited flexibility and multidisciplinary approach. We are still sticking to that basic approach of teaching, that 5 subjects, and no, you cannot interchange your subjects. I still have an example to give, like enough. If you go to MIT and you want to write a book about Hindi, they will tell you to go take a course, credit course in Hindi for approximately not less than 6 months, and then you can write about that. We can, and in India, if we want to write anything, we just don't need any courses. We don't need any sign and any approval. We can just do it our way. So I think flexibility must be given. Somebody who is interested in physics, chemistry, and biology should also be given some flexibility to learn, for example, some sort of accounts, so flexibility and multidisciplinary approach is lacking in our today's system, and that is one of the reason I believe that the India's curriculum should be redesigned and reinvent. And now talking about the solution, these are the problems that we have countered. We can give some sort of solutions for that. The very first solution is that the shift from rote learning to competency based learning. We can emphasize conceptual learning. We can integrate real world problems to the we can integrate real world problems to the application, and then we can reduce curriculum content to a huge extent. I still think that students are burdened with a lot of content curriculum. We can invest in our revamping teacher training and empowerment, because we lack infrastructure in teachers as well. We should mandate continuous professional development of the teacher. We should improve teacher recruitment and deployment. And I think we should transform assessment and examination system. That is one of the important thing that I think we need to transform it, because we need to introduce holistic and formative assessments. And if we should also need to reform our board based examinations. And one important thing that I would like to add upon is that we should establish a national assessment body, like a parak that has been used by Indian government. And I can just give you the full form: performance assessment, review and analysis of knowledge and holistic development. So it is one of the example. And last but not the least, focus on the inclusion and equity of access. We should prioritize early childhood care learning, because all know it's been in NEP also that 85% of the brain develops before the age of 6. So that Anganwadi things are very good, but I think we need to strengthen that. We need to promote multilingual education and ensure that the infrastructure development is par excellence. So these are my points. And again, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak.
Okay, thank you, Rahul. That was a very well, that was a really expressive speech you had there. I did want to ask you a question. I think somewhere in your speech you mentioned something about education, like humanities giving like lack of employment. So could you elaborate on that, please?
The basic thing I wanted to approach, we live in a society and we cannot get with the bitter truth of it that most of the people wants to earn more. Seeing the trends that I think that has started in the starting of this century only from 2000s, the IT was at boom. Most of the people, the students and the parents, the students, the people who were students at that time are parents now. They want to those who have missed opportunity, and at that time I think they were it was a privilege to study, engineering, because the seats were very less at that time, and medical, and so since because we have privatized our education and there are a lot of colleges and people are holding on to the courses which include STEM, is because I think the employability, the money factor comes a lot. Because I'm not degrading any courses. I think humanity is something that is most necessary for the development of a society. But where is the employability factor of it? I can guess at suppose we suppose a situation that if we want to look up to 10 budding people of our generation who are doing so much great into the work, how many of them are doing have studied from humanities? Most of the, I think approximately 80 to 90% are the people who have either done this who have either engineers in general way. I'm saying either engineers or are we were from commerce background. So the social engineering have been talked a lot, social entrepreneurship have talked a lot, but very less has been done in that sector. And because I think most of the people want to go want a good life, what can I say? Most of the people want to lead a good life with money, all the luxuries. And also I think that's the reason there's a lot of uh, you know bheed in these STEM branches, and for the for admissions in IITs and medical schools, and somehow in commerce also, so for being CES. So that was my point about it.
Okay, thank you. Well, I personally believe that there might be like an ideological thing that was going on here, because in like humanities stream as well, like a lot of people do like in India, I personally think that the generation that was here before us, like we do not have a proper idea of how we are supposed to lay out a proper career. So we just follow whatever like the masses might be doing, which is why we have like science stream has medicine and engineering, you have commerce stream which goes into CA, and you have humanities which mainly goes into government jobs. So I think it's mostly an ideological issue that might be happening in the world, because we also do not have someone who can properly guide us like which stream we are supposed to take. So yeah, thank you for your
I would
speech.
like to add on humanities as a branch is something that has been extensively taught in developed countries. US teaches humanities superbly, and a lot. We are still a developing country, and I think there is a lack of awareness about the humanities and the goodness and the you know things that we can achieve, or the career growth in the humanities. And that is one of the reason I think that people are hovering into the loophole of giving examinations and after examinations for better, for exam engineering and medicine. So that was my point. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think so. When we are talking about that humanities gives lack of employability, we should look this point that AI can replace technical skills, but AI cannot replace what is taught in humanities. AI cannot replace empathy. AI cannot replace leadership. AI cannot replace negotiation. AI cannot replace storytelling. AI cannot replace cultural understanding. AI cannot replace human behavior analysis. So yeah, okay, that was not
and
my.
and that is the reason that the researchers are saying that again we are going back to the basics, like even in science we will return back to the like BScs, and humanities will prevail because after writing because writing a good prompt is a skill that is done by somebody who has done a good teaching, or maybe have read his English better. So you are saying right, and I think it will create AI will create more awareness about the social, humanities branch, and it will clear many paths for the few budding students also. So thank you very much.
Anyone else has anything else to add to this?
I think I really like these points on the holistic development, where the current curriculum are not able to cater to those extra needs of the students, and as those skills that develop in young students, that is something that is missing in our curriculum. So that was nice. I think moving on to the humanities versus the engineering thing. Yes, it has been very much popular, the engineering thing, because of their pay scale. But again, that is not something that should be the whole criteria of measuring success, because someone from humanities have been doing good with NGO and maybe not earning as much as engineering graduate, or maybe at a higher level, but then you really can't measure success based on that, um, the salary that you would draw after the graduation. And that is something that is prevailing in the society, because majority of the times this has been the criteria of measuring success. High paying jobs are usually more promoted. I'm sorry, someone was saying anything. No, okay, yeah, that's all.
And I think so for everyone, earning high is not everyone's motive in life. Personally, for me, I don't I manifest that I earn so that I can feed myself and my family, but I don't want to earn like any extraordinary amount. I have different motives, I have different things to accomplish. So everyone does not comes with that mindset that I have to earn and like yeah, that's my point. So that I personally being someone who belongs to core humanities field, I uh, like think that that point was somewhere around very deep hurting point for myself. So yeah, that's it.
And Rishika, I believe that you are privileged to understand this much. A lot of people in this country are still not privileged enough to understand the basic meaning between earning and earning with dignity. So I kudos to you. That's a great point.
Yeah, okay. Let's move further. I think so. Shreya is the next speaker. Shreya, you can present your insights.
Should I start?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So topic says reinvent or retain, or should we redesign the education curriculum? Before diverting from the topic and going on to mental health, AI, or NEP 2020, just what NEP 2020 is, I would like to define what is curriculum. Curriculum actually means the framework that outlines the whole way students study and the way teachers are teaching. I'll not talk about NEP 2020. I would talk about Kothari Commission report that came in 1986. Well, yes, this report already mentioned that Hindi should be used as a medium of language and we should not focus on traditional memorization and we should integrate science and technology. But no one or many of them doesn't know about that. We are telling that NEP 2020 has introduced interdisciplinary or critical thinking and technology. No. National Curriculum Framework 2000 decades ago did that. It told that we should integrate science and technology. We should move away from teachers just teaching students, and we should move away from the academic pressure created by exams, and we should focus on the critical thinking of students. Well, it's on NCF 2000, 2005 and 2020, the reforms as came that NEP 2020 is based on. So I want to say one statement. We should retain the structure but redesign the curriculum. And when I say that, structure means the framework. Yes, we should have board exams, we should have competitive exams, we should have teachers students learning about certain things at certain age, but we should redesign the way it is taught. We should redesign the curriculum. And when I say curriculum, I mean the teaching methods as well as the syllabus that we have. Imagine your history book does not end with Cold War, but it also talks about Russia and Ukraine war. Yes. Imagine that we don't talk about wars and battlefields and study again and again about Second World War and First World War. But what if we study about what is soft power and how it is used in a war? What if we study about tactical wars that is going on in the current situation? What if we have a different section that only does not say that we have different sessions in parliament and a student memorizes that what is winter session in parliament, what is 0 hour, what is question hour? But on every Friday or Thursday, we have a little discussion on how a parliament functions. What are the key bills that have been introduced in the parliament? If it is done in a lower level, just the bills. And from 8 to 9, we have discussion on what bills have been introduced and how it is affecting the country. We should not have Bankim Chandra Chatterjee has written Vande Mataram as memorized by the students. We should also have that, yes, Amit Shah and Prime Minister Narendra Modi had recently talked about the 150 years of Vande Mataram in the parliament. We should have those audio listened by students so they understand that what our country is heading to. We should have a quiz session on who recently visited India, where does our Prime Minister visits, what is the current situation of the country, in very simple terms, met by the teachers to be able to understand the students. In geography, we do study about transportation. What is water transport? What are the main modes of transport? What is highways? What is railways? But we don't study that there are some corridors. We don't study about the projects that India is currently working on. That is Chennai, the Vladivostok project that we had, that was actually not been implemented in years. But as Putin came to India, we have this project in the visit. We have to know that we are going towards AI. Now we have in computers what is RAM, what is ROM, read only memory, random access memory. Okay, fine, I know that. Other students also know that. But what we have cybersecurity and laws, not in very high terms for low students. We have just that how to operate your phone when you are ever getting a call, how to identify that that is a fraud call and not to share anything. When students are playing games, how to make them understand that you should not use VPN, how it is affecting you, how should you protect your passwords, how should you actually deal with those things. We should have children understand that there is also this initiative that is going on, that is your money, your right. We should make them understand about the banking reforms that is happening in the country. We should make them understand about the different schemes that is happening. And for these, I don't think very much thing is needed. I'm not talking about very much crores of investment. I'll just give some simple policies that are needed. What is needed is we have the signatory policies that is used to judge a student. That is how much a student is getting in exams, memory based learning. But what if we have those assigned on oracy? How much a student is able to apply those teachings of parliament, in that if a person is talking properly in the parliament, okay, this is when the 0 hour starts, this is when the question hour starts, this is how we should behave in the parliament, how are the key bills introduced. What we have teachers not just coming and giving instruction to the students, but what we have teachers teaching them real life lessons and teaching and encouraging their critical thinking. What we have students developing their curiosity, actually having this critical thinking and open forum, open discussions on different topics they would want to. What these discussions and these frameworks actually just need some policies at different schools, whether it starts from the rural schools, it's very local, that should be approach. They could have partnering with different organizations, they could actually work on different teaching methods, they should regularly update the curriculum. Like if not update the entire syllabus, they should have proper sessions and proper Friday, Saturday, they should have discussions, extra classes on the subject. Instead of teaching always maths in the extra classes, they could have these sessions, these topics that actually students need to know. Because ultimately India is moving and India is investing on various things, and students should have the right, they should understand not only how a high, like what is a highway, but how a highway reduce logistics cost. So this is just depending on the way curriculum is designed. If different people at different school levels actually just bring a change in the design of the curriculum, in introducing different sessions, in having several seminars, several things. They can easily make students understand. We in our schools had this traffic sessions like on traffic safety. So just making students learn red, yellow, and green, we could have them demonstrated so that they actually understand. And it's quite a fun and learning experience. So we had always these policies, but they were never implemented in full. Like we had NCF talking about technology, integration of technology, but it still showed, a research report showed that 70% of rural schools lacks ICT. So where the problem goes? The problem again goes in execution and implementation. So we should have policies and we should understand that whether these policies will be fulfilled by this right infrastructure or not. It's just like we are just in the river and we have to cross from shore A to shore B. And shore A is the current paradigm, the current situation we are facing, and shore B is a new situation we are moving towards. And for that, we have different stepping stones, and those stepping stones are actually needs to be done, and it needs to be done in a very emphasized and very structured way, so that every policy is actually very well implemented at the ground level. So that's what, retain the structure, redesign the curriculum. And when I say redesign the curriculum, I mean that not only reading post-modern poems of T.S. Eliot, but also having modern poems and also having talk about Gaza, give students a brief about what's happening, and make them write poems on different mental health, and having mental health introduced as a topic, having sex education introduced as a topic after a certain age, so that they are actually properly aware of their things, properly introduce about know your constitution sessions should be held at schools. We have constitution, like this is the right, but what if the student knows that this is my constitutional right, this is my fundamental duty, I don't have to scribble in the monuments? What if that is actually understood by different programs, by different collaborations with different organizations, and that would help in a long way. So with that, I would like to respond. Thank you.
Great insight, Shreya. Just one suggestion from my side. I got your point. You talked about current affairs. You talk about that we should teach about things about current affairs. You should teach things on digital literacy. And I do agree with the point where you told that we all must be aware about how parliamentary sessions works. And even when personally in my 11th standard, when I studied these two books in political science, one is political theory, another one is Indian Constitution at Work, I personally felt that these two books are something which should not be concentrated, not taught to only humanities people, but to everyone, because this is something very basic which everyone should in our country know, to develop basic understanding before they even go to vote, so that then next time we will choose right leaders. And with that, there was one more thing. I opted legal studies as my optional, and that the basics which I personally learned where in that legal studies, these basics are also taught to everyone, irrespective of in whichever field they are. So great points. My recommendation was that next time, please be more structured, because you had great points, but it was lacking in structure. So that was it, just a suggestion. Uh, uh, Other than that, you had great points. Thank you. Anyone wants to add or counter? So, before we move further, as discussion is going very boring, uh, I will be put one open question. I would like you all to contribute. So, what part of Indian curriculum, Indian education system specifically, should definitely be redesigned? Like, what particular part and why?
I think it has to be pedagogy, how teachers teach, and that is a big factor. A lot of students miss potential because they do not understand things well. So I think pedagogy really needs to be changed.
Okay, true, true. Anyone else? Guys, speak. It's Policy Manthan, a platform to speak up.
Can I speak?
Or
I think it's the internal assessment that you have talked about, Rishika. I think you have told that it's very hectic and it's time consuming. But I think that's the only way that the students today are learning, and they're opening their books for the very even for some kind of instance. So anyway, however boring or however hectic it may look, but I think that internal assessments are something that need to be retained because gradually, even with the pedagogy right now, if that it is very fortunate for students that they are at least opening their books in within, if they have a 6 month span, in 3 months if they're opening their books, I think that's why they're learning something. And it is just the sheer stress of this internal assessment that a lot of students are compelled to learn, which is again a very controversial topic, that compelling somebody to learn, but that's how it is, that's the scenario. So however boring it is, I think it's the internal assessments that needs to be retained.
yeah, I agree. It is tedious, but it makes us learn new things, and it makes us to open our books and explore internet and learn new things. That and
May-
even not learn, because we, as in my college works, we do theory paper, but before theory we get CIS to do, where we have to present, where we have to go out, make reports and all. So it gives us skills which are needed. Yeah, that's true. Anyone else
Maybe
to speak up?
we can change the ways the assessments are done, but the assessments are necessary. That's the point.
Guys, I won't go further unless and until one or two people will speak.
So, in my point of view, I guess, there should be more flexible way in the schedule where how the assessments are taken, because in 1 month we every starting of the month we'll have internal assessments, and after that we'll have some project submissions, we'll have some group discussions, we'll have debates, we'll have moot court competitions. By all this we'll just come within no time we'll complete like 4 to 5 months, and the last end we'll get the end sem exams, and we'll be lacking behind a lot of syllabus on. So we cannot cover the whole 6 month syllabus within one night, or this is not possible, this is really not possible. So we need flexible studying hours, or the assessments done. We need flexible time. I would like to, stress upon this part.
I would also like to add something like uh, recently there was this report that Delhi University is facing vacancies, like many people are not opting for it. So there was this student saying that obviously environmental science, when you teach this at a college level, it's not bad to teach environmental science to students, but then again, uh, there should be a structured way of teaching that. The it's very basic. It's very basic about environment that we're teaching at a very high level. So maybe that could be actually like some practical assessments where you're going for cleanliness drives. We're working with NGOs. Working with NGOs is a part now, but instead of environmental science, like if you could have a more structured way of the syllabus and you could make students actually apply that practically and have sessions on or seminars on that where they're going to government schools, rural schools, teaching you about that and themselves learning about that, that would be more better approach to it. That's what I feel.
Yes, great. Rightly pointed, Shreya. Okay, now I'm satisfied. Let's move to next speaker, Shraddha.
Uh, should our should our education curriculum be redesigned or reinvented? Well, I think that yes, reinvention and redesigning of curriculum is needed in at the school level, because as early as we start changing our education system, it's better for the kids when they grow up. But how do we actually change it? Is if we change the syllabi and the attitudes of people. Uh, you know, if we are able to shift focus from rote learning to subjects like finance and communication that would help them in real life, skills that would make them that would help them in their real career. If if reading books and writing is encouraged, reading books can actually help one-dimensional ways, and writing is very essential to formalize the ideas that you think. And of course, I believe that there are so many changes in the current curriculum of schools that we can do. More than focus on what happened in history, when did Akbar died, when did he came to India, the focus should be on learning from history, learning from geography, how civilization runs, how constitution is made, how government functions. Learning geography so that they can say that why developing this tourism thing in Andaman is not a good idea, because how sensitive the place is, how ecologically sensitive the place is, and we are harming the place for bringing them a long-term, impact by making it an tourist place, because that's the most affected by climate change area. Uh, if we remove the stigma and pride associated with any profession, I'm pretty sure the kids would be encouraged to take different professions. Sweeping around, that would make them respect the subject that I think should definitely be education, to make kids aware how the opposite gender is not just a mere object, and how to develop a friendly relation and respect the opposite gender. Apart from this, I don't know how much we can blame education alone, because I have taught kids at convent schools, KVs. The material doesn't make much of a difference because attitude of the people remains the same. The focus on cracking exams rather than learning concepts and competitiveness and this thinky, this feeling of the students themselves that they don't want to take extra burden, not go for independent learning or problem solving approaches. I remember in my school, whenever a teacher used to ask a tricky question, the students would protest saying that this was out of our syllabus. We will not answer this question. This hasn't been taught in the class. Means I am just surprised at the idea how people even refuse to learn one line from the textbook if they are not graded on that. So that attitude needs to change. And of course, the curriculum needs reinvention, but so the attitudes of people, because the NEET, UPSC, they're, I don't think they're that bad, because they do test concepts and they're here to stay. but the attitude of parents and the students need to change, that it is not the only profession that would give you pride, or not everyone is born to be an IS officer. The stigma and the pride associated with the profession needs to be removed, so that kids are encouraged. Art and culture needs to be respected more. So I think curriculum needs reinvention along with the attitudes of people. That's it.
Shraddha, there was a network issue on your side, so we weren't able to completely understand what you were talking about. So could you just give us a short summary of what you were saying?
Okay, I would just summarize that of course we need to change curriculum, but at the same time, we also need to change the attitudes of people. Like I said, the focus on learning from history rather than what happened in history and geography. Learning that why, ecotourism in Andaman is not a good idea, questioning government on that, teaching evolution so that, people are self-aware to question theism, creation, and inclusion of subjects like financial literacy, communication that would help kids, to make them confident in the real world. So these were some points that I mentioned. The curriculum needs invention along with sex education, because I believe that student as early as in class 11 and 12 need to realize how consent actually works. And that's it. That's what I said. And the attitudes of people, like cracking up exams rather than learning the concepts. I just gave a personal example that in my school, there was this one question where, students even refused to answer because they said it's out of syllabus and it wasn't taught in the class. So that's really surprising, that how, people just refuse to learn anything that they are not graded on. The independent learning thing is completely dead. There's laziness and stubbornness at play in the students themselves. So I think both things need to change simultaneously, the attitudes of people and the curriculum.
Okay, so I just have a question. When you said that there needs to be a change in the ideology of people, who are you referring to? Like, are you talking about the guardians and the teachers? Are you talking about like the students? And like, how do you think there should be a change there?
Everyone, you see, I said this in my point, I think I missed while summarizing it, that we need UPSC. These are great exams, they are here to stay, but parents need to stop getting obsessed over these profession and you know pushing their kids for that. And the same with the society does not respect certain professor. If a man decides to become a guitarist or a musician, they would say that this is not a very earned profession. You will not be able to make much money. So do something good. Just you pursue this as a hobby. So both needs to change, and even the students need to change. Why are we so much obsessed of having a CA degree or a CS degree, so that we can show to society that, oh, I'm a CA, I'm a CS, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor. Why not do something and change at your own level? Because any difference that we make will definitely, anything that we do will make a difference. So why not start from ourselves? I cannot change you cannot change my thought of process, and we do not have even right to change each other's thought process. But I can change mine, you can change yours. Collectively, we'll make a difference.
Right. I do think that you have a great point there that, there is a lot of focus on like UPSC and careers like that. Just the one thing that I wanted to say, this is just like my perspective on this, that maybe somewhere or the other, there is like a lot of times children are forced from like a very young age, like they are forced into like studying for science or like commerce or something like that. So I think that maybe, that thing, like a lot of students are pressured into going for UPSC, a lot of students are pressured into appearing for CAT or something. So I think that mainly there needs to be a change in the teachers and in the parents, first of all, because they are the ones who are going on to shape whatever the child is going to do. Because like I mentioned before also, India, I personally believe that like the previous generation does not have a proper concept of how a child is supposed to select a career and like what they're supposed to go for. I think mainly I don't believe that children should be the ones who have to change their ideology, because like children, I know children from like first grade or second grade who have been forced, like they already know that they have to appear for UPSC, they already know that they have to appear for CAT. I think that the parents and the teachers are the ones who should maybe change their ideology a bit there. And also like with humanities, I've noticed that a lot of teachers who do actually teach humanities sometimes are demotivated themselves, so they are not able to properly teach their students. So these were just some of my points. Anyone else has any other point?
Okay, I have one more point. I want you all again to reflect on this point. Um, by the time we are somewhere around changing the meaning of education and changing the meaning of knowledge, education is now somewhere around becoming transactional. We learn only, like we talk about things only which we can which we think that this thing can get us hired. But in real, from our cultural values, knowledge is not only about getting jobs and all, it is about building perspective, it is about critical thinking, it is about wisdom. Knowledge is much more than gaining education, gaining skills, learning new things. It's is much more than just putting those things into resume. So I want you all to reflect on this point also. Yeah, because whenever we talk about NEP, we come with the point of skill development. And whenever we talk about skill development, we often reduce it to just employability. But knowledge is much more than getting employed. Knowledge is much more than getting jobs. The purpose of knowledge is not to get jobs. So, yeah, and that's the reason our institutions are changing, educational institutions are changing into businesses. So, I want you all to reflect and give your perspective on this point.
Maybe I
Can I
can
just
start.
say something?
Yes.
Yeah, you said that knowledge does not give you job. I mean, if you have knowledge, why won't you get a job? If
So,
a company is asking you to make, suppose a job requirement is that you should know how to prepare these things, you should know how to report these things. If you have knowledge, why won't you? As I said, people do force to tell you that, oh, UPSC kar lo. How many actually crack it? The only ones that have passion for it, na? Not everybody is cracking it. Not I'm not becoming a doctor because I could not become a doctor. I had no passion for that. But there are doctors in our country now. Only those have passions for it. So if you have knowledge, will get a job. And of course, I don't think education is equal to common sense, equal to manners. There are many educated people who still lack basic civic sense, but then that's a different thing. But I said that if you have knowledge, you will get a job. I mean, maybe not in today's scenario because of the population, but knowledge, education, ultimately, if you are educated, you will have a wise. See, again, the same thing. If you are reading for developing your knowledge, ultimately you will score good. Because if you have knowledge, you can answer the questions. You can even answer the questions that are very critical in thinking. So I just wanted to say.
Shraddha,
I
my point was, if it was not clear, my point was, today in today's era, we are learning to get jobs, but knowledge is something much more than getting jobs. The point you mentioned was my point, that knowledge is about gaining perspective, about gaining wisdom, about gaining critical thinking about it is something we learn to think into different eras. Okay, so it my point was not that knowledge will not give you job. We My point was we are in today's world, we are, when we talk about skill development and all, and even NEP is more and more focusing on making people get hired. It is important to get job, it is important to get an, but culturally knowledge does not only mean to get job. Knowledge is much more than something, much more than uh, things to add on your resume. That was my point, if it was not clear, and now again reflect.
Maybe I'd like to add something. I totally agree with Rishika's point that there is a difference between knowledge and there is a difference between being educated and being knowledgeable, right? I can right now I'm having a quote in my mind said by Albert Einstein, Sir Albert Einstein, that if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, he will live his whole life thinking that he's a fool. That's exactly the thing. No, being knowledge, since Shraddha mentioned that point, that the scenario of today's era is that everybody wants to do the thing that they're going to be judged on. Right, a student will not attempt any question out of that syllabus because he will not think that he will make a point after that, or maybe he get a score regarding that. So that's totally okay. But the problem with, and this the question that you have raised is a very subjective question, and it have many branches with it. Eventually, listen, the whole thing depends upon how a country functions. We as a country today in education functions just as a factory for corporate slaves. What we are doing is just making corporate slaves, and with the NEP we are giving it the training from the very basic, from the very start, that what you will have to do is you have to in-how get a good computer science or degree, get into a multinational, sit in a cubicle and do the Excel sheet work, right? So that's what we have been trained into. A person who is supposedly, I've seen a lot of person who is more knowledgeable but have not gotten their jobs in the campus placement. Reason was because they cannot communicate properly, because they cannot present their ideas beautifully. And at this present era, anything, if you can present yourself, you are buyable only. And a country will produce good leaders, good scientists, if the country's focus is on education. If a country who is cutting its budgets on it's a prime institutions, it's DRDOs, for example, cutting budgets of it. So how can you expect a country that the student of that country will be focusing on that, maybe research part, be getting knowledgeable rather than getting educated? So I think knowledgeable, and so everybody at this present time is getting educated, and that's the why we are lacking behind in getting knowledge. uh, one of the mere reason that a lot of people now today's generation are getting to so I for to get their higher education, they are moving out of India, and the numbers are increasing day by day. And the basic reason is because we are not providing with the quality education or knowledge that are necessary for the research and development. Maybe focusing more into things, research things. So I think that's the problem, and I think somehow we are also blamed. We are also at a blame because. Time, I like one of the point that I think Shraddha or Shreya have told, that the NCF, National Curriculum Framework, should not be, the structure should be changed, the curriculum should not be changed. I think a curriculum with more than 2 decades old, if I have not successfully implemented, I think that curriculum is a failure at all. So three governments have changed till then. A 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and maybe a 4-year-old. And still, if you're not waiting to implement a curriculum, I think there must be some flaw in the curriculum, in designing that curriculum. So that's from my side.
Yeah, great insights, Rahul. And even in India, like in other countries, after getting graduated or after completing education, people think of opening business and all. But in our country, we think of getting get into jobs. So a lot of entrepreneurship skills is also something we should look upon. And yeah, great points. Anyone else? Vani, share your perspective on this?
Actually, yes, Rishika, I agree with what you said that India, as everyone has been pointing out, that India definitely focuses on creating employees. And, we take pride in saying that major companies, global companies in India have an Indian CEO. We take pride in telling that. But what it really clearly reflects is that why did they leave? If you actually go back and see these CEOs, majority of them did get educated in Stanford, Cornell, and all these places. Why did they go there? If you are so good, of course, I'm saying about my own country. Like, I'm not targeting because at the end of the day, I'm studying in this country. So, of course, I will question my country. Like, why are they leaving? Why is everybody leaving and going to Stanford if India's education is so good? And bottom line is, research not is actually invisible. Like, there is no resourcing for research. There is no resourcing for higher studies and problem solving, or what we are talking about, critical thinking, problem solving. This is where we need education is good for everyone. As somebody had said a couple of discussions back that they did like children are doing amazing and they are entering these high paying jobs. But that's the thing, the end is high paying job. When you actually critical think, these tech companies that you are having Indian CEOs of will be here, we'll be creating them in our country. That is not there. We have such less innovative creations that are happening in India. We don't have that. We need that. We say we have IIT, we have IIM. Come on, think about it. That's like one IIT or cluster of these universities and so much audience to cater. It's not there. Why do we not have good colleges in every state? Why do we don't have that? Why is that children from Bihar and all these places have to come to Delhi or have to go to Bombay or Bangalore? That's only when they are going to be able to do research and studies. Why? That's the problem with our countries. Firstly, we don't have innovative minds. We just want employees. And secondly, there is lack of resource. As we mentioned, for ISRO, the Chandrayaan that landed, everyone was bragging about how it was low cost. Why? People were saying if it was NASA, we would have put more money. Why? You think India does not have money? We have. Look at the way they spend money during elections. It is ironical that they say we are in a developing country. Where is that money coming from? That's the thing, is India does not, India has money, we have resources, but we are not putting it where we should.
I think so. The deeper connotation to it is privatization, because when it comes to research only, suppose let's take example of pharmaceutical companies. This industry won't actually, they won't let research happen about, suppose we are very good in Ayurveda, right? They won't let that medicine, or that not medicine but that herbal medicine came out, which will uh, heal any disease completely. They won't let. Even same applies to education. This so this these holds the, like, when we talk about these problems, they have some more deeper reasons behind it which we do not reflect, and one of the reason to it is privatization also. So yeah. Okay, anyone else want to add some points? Okay, so let's call our next speaker, Drupad, if I'm pronouncing right.
Yeah, hello. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are audible and not visible. Okay, before Drupad starts, there are people who are in meeting, but I can't see their names in chat box. So please write your names in chat box.
Yeah, hello. Am I visible now?
Yes, you are. You can start.
Yeah, hello. Since we all were talking about critical thinking and spoken skills, this is something I believe is more related to pedagogy, again, the way teachers teach. Yeah. This is a very important skill that we should focus on. And you see, in the foreign schools, we often see students being very well doing in debates. They are very confident to go up for extempore speech and all those things. But in India, especially, and especially in government schools, we don't often see students having that willingness to participate, or they are somehow shy, right? So this is a core part that has been ignored in our curriculum. And even if there are special days or occasions when students are encouraged to participate, but it just remains an exception, like it becomes once in a year, right? And that is a skill that has to be focused on. Now, again, regarding that, I would like to come back to it later on. But coming to other points that needs to be added in the curriculum, and I truly believe that curriculum needs a change. Uh, it's regarding something that I personally feel, and a person I met recently, he is the forest man of India. A lot of us might know him. He's Jadav Payeng, and I had the honor to meet him. And he said a very important thing, something that is truly missing in our education system. It's the environmental education, practical environmental education, or be it more forestry, right? We have special, I mean, we have environmental day, we have other occasions when we give students a plant to, put it in their home or maybe on their schoolyard. But it just remains a special day only, right? It has not been inducted in our curriculum. I mean, knowing the Paris agreements and all these things happening around, it's going to be one of the prime necessity of humanity to, look after environment. And this is truly being ignored in our curriculum. I believe a very practical thing that can be done here is we can ensure, of course, after a class, we can give them more practical based classes, maybe teach them what's cross sections in plants, or uh, what's the NPK ratio that needs to be maintained in plants and forests, and everything that's related to forestry and environment. And a more practical approach is that we, after a class, we can give them a single plan and maybe divide its class into two groups or three groups, and make the students uh, nurture the plant in the school backyard. And I would like to go one step ahead and say maybe reduce marks to them if they don't do good care of the tree, and after a year it does not grow well. So students are going to learn actually what it means to take care of trees, and you know understand nature, something that is very often seen, especially in the northeastern schools. We often see students manufacturing, reusing things. We often see students doing experiments with trees, and it's very essential for us to live in harmony with nature, right? So this is a core part of our curriculum. Secondly, again, another part that's crucially missing is the sports or the physical education, right? It's still seen somehow as a way to get job, especially in government schools and uh, people from one marginalized background. I mean, I used to do sports, and I had a lot of friends who did that particular sport solely because they had plans of going to the police. It makes, if they attain a level, if they play district games, if they play state games, it made it easy for the students to, get some government jobs. So it still has not got that importance. And of course, there is skepticism, or I would say parents not supporting. They still see if the students is pursuing sports, they are not good in studies, they are useless, they don't have any skills. So of course awareness among the teachers and parents must be there, must be induced, and sports must become a critical part of our curriculum. You see China, we see USA, and we wonder why are they winning so many, medals. And China has this, I think, policy where they choose a children or few children in school. They do the scouting very early, and they put their entire resources behind that student till they graduate or till they grow up, and eventually they represent uh, China or their country in Olympics and other sports. So sports has to be focused on. Coming on next part that really needs to be focused on. It's again something I personally felt, having people I know, my very good friends. One of them is specially able, right? He has some disabilities, and although we have new policies that talk about the sensitization of the topic, or caring of people, or giving them the resources to do their classes or schedules, but the core thing is that those students still don't feel as if they're the part of other students. Yeah, teachers somehow don't realize that they need some attention, especially, or students we can say that has some autism symptom, right? And of course, there's more structural issue in this. A lot of parents themselves don't understand their students. I mean, child have may have some autistic issues, and they behave with the students rudely, as we have seen in the movie Tare Zameen Par, right? So that sensitization is truly lacking, and that needs to be inducted in the curriculum. How to uh, give importance to them, the things they face issue, right? Those things. And a follow up to that is again civic sense. Civic sense has to be inducted in our curriculum better. And of course, we have read them those things in starting from our class one, and even nowadays KG, LKG students are taught that, but it's just for the sake of gaining marks, and it's not implemented in their life. So that needs to be focused on. And at last, again, coming to the pedagogy part that I was talking about. So regarding that, I would like to start with an anecdote. I have a good friend, and back a few days back, he told me this story. When he was studying in his plus one and plus two, 11, 12, he had this teacher, and he gave him the class an assignment to do an survey, right? And they were told that this is your subject, you need to go to this place, and of course we'll arrange the vehicles and we'll take you to that location, and you need to do surveys and give gather data and do conclusions. But few days later, the teacher said, "Don't worry, we are probably not going to go to that location. You can manage it yourself. You can write datas and points yourself, but make it very neat and make it very precise. Because I hope the examiner or the what is it called, the person who comes from outside different schools and does the evaluation, so that that evaluator is gonna come and he's gonna check. So make the data very precise." And few days later, the same teacher comes up with his mustache shaved and all, beard clean shaved, and all the students are laughing in the class because it's the same teacher and there's no evaluator. But as I say this anecdote, there's uh, something that's truly I want to bring into limelight is how we take this thing of doing survey, of doing class discussion as something that's not of much use, right? But those are the real skills that needs to be focused on. And we often say this, right? Teachers just mock students, okay, don't worry about it, it's gonna happen, or you gonna manage it later when you go into higher college, or maybe in your MA and MSCs. So that's something that's truly not been understood by the teachers regarding the pedagogy that needs to be improved. And again, something regarding the pedagogy, regarding the teachers, something that I have in mind is, and it's just an idea, something we can do is we can do shifting teachers. Maybe we can allow private school teachers who are really expert, who have very high skills, and make them compulsorily do classes in some government schools for maybe twice a week. I mean, twice a week is too much. Maybe 4 times a month, 4 times every month, or maybe 5 times every month. So that is something we can do. And I truly believe that those teachers who have that necessary skills, they can go into other schools and teach the students about the spoken skills. They can do uh, activities like critical thinking and improve the pedagogy. Again, something that we see in the movie Tare Zameen Par, where Amir Khan comes up as an teacher from another school and teaches painting, and his pedagogy is extremely good, and he changes the way students look into education. So these are some things that I wanted to talk about and needs to be changed in the curriculum. And again, I would like to go one step ahead at last, and it's a little sensitive topic. I believe the Indian core philosophies, ethics, those needs to be taught in our curriculum. And why I say it's sensitive, because they are very closely also related to religion. We see Charvaka, we see Loktaya, those things, or maybe Sufism. Those things are very closely related to religion. So it's a sensitive topic, but I think those core Indian philosophies, ethics, they need to be taught in our curriculum, because they are what make uh, India Indians. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dhruv. That was some really great points that you had there about education, civic sense, disability. These were points that were not very vastly discussed by people here before. So yeah, thank you for bringing all of these points right now. Just one suggestion that I had was that you could maybe do, like, it was a very good speech, but like it was just a bit not structured. So next time maybe you can focus.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say that it was a really good speech, but like it just needs a bit of a structure. So yeah, just that.
Sure.
Okay, so I think anyone else has anything to add here? Okay. If not, then Kunika can go next.
Hope I am audible and visible. I'm actually traveling, so
Yeah, please go ahead.
yeah. So, uh, 1 minute. So, the topic for today's discussion was, as already said, most of you almost covered every single point. So, I will quickly sum up my points. So, India's education system today is at an important turning point. In the last few years, especially after the NEP 2020, we have seen many new ideas like the 5334 structure, flexibility of the subjects, and a shift towards skill based learning. But even with these reforms, we still see major learning challenges across the country. For example, ASER report shows that many class 5 students cannot read a class 2 level text, and a larger number struggle with basic division. This clearly means that our curriculum looks good on paper, but the learning outcomes in classroom are not matching it. And another issue I see is the skills gap. So various employability survey shows that even graduates lack essential skills, things like digital literacy, communication, problem solving, and teamwork. Many companies say that they have to retain new employees before they actually work. So this shows a mismatch between what students learn in school and colleges and what the real world really needs. And another big reason is curriculum overload, as many of you already covered it. But students actually learn too much content too fast, and there is a little time for deep understanding or creativity. For example, in colleges, students open their textbook just before exam and they grasp everything and give their exam. But after exam, most of the students forget what they studied. So basically, this is what students today are doing. And however,
it is also true that NEP 2020 has introduced many strong ideas, such as mother tongue teaching in early years, emphasis on foundation literacy, and freedom to choose subjects across streams. These ideas are based on global research and should not be discarded. So, what should we reinvent? We simply need to simplify the curriculum. Students should learn fewer topics but understand them better. A lighter curriculum will allow time for discussion, project, and a real life example. And second, integrate real world skills like digital skills, financial literacy, climate awareness, communication, and problem solving should be part of everyday teaching, not separate add-ons. Then change how we assess students. Move from one final exam to continuous competency based assessment, checking what students actually do, not just what they can memorize. And one concept, one lab activity. Basically, in this, every chapter must have at least one hands-on experience, field activity, or real life demonstration. Reduces rote learning and makes concept tangible and memorable. And finally, support teachers. I think can exceed if teachers are overburdened, undertrained, or unsupported. Training resources and reduced administrative works are essential. To sum up, I think India doesn't need to throw away the entire system or clinch blindly to it. We need continuity with innovations. Thank you.
Yeah, true. Great insights, Kunika. We need to do is that, of course, we can't completely change our structure altogether. We need continuity with like major changes. Nice points. Yeah, again, digital literacy assessments and this all. Great points. I think so. In the Safia is only one who is now left to speak. Urvashi, is she in meeting?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, Safia, can you present your insights?
A minute, please.
Okay, Sadhika, did you present your insights? This is not done. If you are in meeting, you have to respond.
So, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible.
So, my view is like uh, totally very different than the topic. So, uh, the thing is, I feel like the curriculum really doesn't matter nowadays. Like, even India improves it or not improves it, because I personally feel like the students are not motivated enough to accept the change or accept the curriculum how it is or accept anything. So I feel like the students' motivation and their mindset and their responsibility is very important than the what curriculum is giving. But personally, myself as a NEP student, so we had a course called CEP, where which is hello.
Yeah, please continue.
So we have a course for CEP where we have to do something for a community. Like we have to engage with community and we have to bring some positive outcomes. So it's a very practical on field thing, but and our college choose to go for a beach cleanup drive. So we it's very practical thing, right? But we went there, we just marked our attendance and literally we did nothing. We just stand on the beach, we came back. So I so it's not just our class, it's just like almost everyone there and even my cousins and things. What I personally see is that curriculum is something that doesn't matter, and Even curriculum change to best, it doesn't matter because in India, mostly the students lack motivation for education. And yeah, so that's my point.
Great insight, Safia. Again, one recommendation: speech needs bit structure. Other than that, great points. Thank you. Um, Urvashi, do we have someone else to like share perspectives?
Yeah, I think Sadhika did not speak, I think.
Sadhika, are you in the meeting?
No, I don't think she's in the meeting. Oh no, she is in the meeting.
Okay, I think so. She's not responding. I don't know why. Maybe some network issue or something else. Okay, we already exceeded our ideal time limit of policy manthan. Thank you, everyone. We like this discussion was great. You all brought great insights in. Thank you so much, and looking forward to meet you all in next policy manthan. Will with more enthusiasm and more well-researched points. That's it. If any one of you want to give any feedback or add some points, you are allowed to add. Um, Otherwise, we will end this meeting. Yeah, you can speak. You can open
Yeah,
your.
I would like to add maybe if we can make a summary page or a page where we can write everyone points, that would be great because a lot of people here said a lot of good things and interesting new points. So maybe if such a page can be made and could be shared with everyone, it would be very insightful.
Okay, sure. We will work on this. Very sure. I do have all the notes of your points, so I will work on this. Okay. Anything else? Anyone wants to add? Or if anyone wants to volunteer to make a report out of it, we do have this session on YouTube where you can see like watch this recording, and if some point is missed, you can take that point and write a report. If anyone wants to volunteer, can volunteer to write this report. Otherwise, I will write that. Uh, that's it. Anyone else? If anyone else want to add some point, you can add, or we'll end this meeting. Was this policy manthan that bad that you can't give feedback or what?
I just feel like last time our policy months were like quite chill. It was kind of a discussion panel. This time our policy months are quite like a debate. That's definitely different.
Yeah, yeah, that's the point. But uh, it's like I purposefully bring points to spark the debate because somewhere around I like that debate thing because otherwise session goes very boring. And in like personally, Urvashi will also tell when I used to be one participating policy manthan. I was much more uh, like to be honest, I was very aggressive about my points. Like you can't counter me. If you will counter, I will bring more well-researched points to counter you. So that spirit is good. But I used to do it respectfully. You can ask with Urvashi. And I like that enthusiasm, which was more in last policy manthan. And this time it was also good, and like guys are doing well. Like previous batch was not that good while sharing perspectives. This batch is more good. Like Vani, you can I think so you can reflect on this. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so I think so then, yeah. Truly a point. Debating is not about targeting. Debating is about if you are not like if you don't like other person point, you can counter, but respectfully. Targeting is not something acceptable anywhere, not in debate only. Uh, yes, that's it. Okay, let's end.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, I really enjoy the policy manthan sessions, and that's a great initiative. And yes, what Nilesh shared is quite right that debate shouldn't target people, but I think debate targets questions, debate targets your perspectives, and not people. When we see
Yeah.
debates in parliament, it's not about targeting others, it's about targeting your perspectives, because that would what ultimately bring out a new perspective. I'm wrong, he is right. Or if we both are right and we would create a new perspective that is going to align well with the policies, that's what needed. And that's what policy experts say, because I have done interviews with policy expert, and when I interview people, I have debates. And because when you interview, you're not debating, you just have this curiosity that whether my point is right, whether his point is right, what if we both are right, because ultimately no one is right or wrong. It depends upon how well you have researched, what points you have brought in the topic, what new insights have you brought in the topic, or you have just diverted the topic and went on in something else, but again have brought a new issue that could have again used as a new topic. So that's what about. So I really enjoy this policy manthan sessions, because ultimately it makes me research, and it helps make you understand how policies work at ground level and implement that at ground level. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you everyone. We will meet in next policy manthan. Thank you guys.
Yes, Parliament is truly turning personal. Again, if you're discussing about the recent Vande Mataram and all the discussions that's happening, and that's why we say that Parliament is becoming unparliamentary. That's what we reduce, because previously we have used to have, and if you see the debating perspective and the debating ideology between Sashi Tharoor and how other person speaks, then you will notice a difference. Because a true debater is also a good public speaker, and that's what Sashi Tharoor is. He would kill you with he will kill you with his ideology. So yeah, Parliament is turning unparliamentary, but then again, they are bringing out new discussions, new perspectives. There are few people who actually don't target, but they target the things that are said, and ultimately it brings about. Because personally, the people out of the parliament, they are holding hands, they're having uh, photographs, and there is no debate that is going on outside. It's just in the parliament that's all happening. So, yeah, Drupad, you're quite right. Being from the media field, I quite relate with that.
Yeah, thank you, Shreya. Maybe we can continue about this in some other policy manthan. But yeah, the session has ended, so you guys can